I'm Chef Katie, and I'm gonna share one of my favorite recipes with you today. I have a passion for eating, cooking, and living clean, and I believe that cooking can be a family affair. I'm a professional chef, a food blogger, a clean eating coach, a wife, and mom. We're starting out at Ingles, getting the ingredients to make my handmade pasta noodles with green pesto. For a full list of ingredients, you can check out the shopping list at the bottom of the video player. You can print out a copy and bring it to the store with you, or pull it up on your phone when you get to the store. Now let's get cooking. Today we're gonna make pasta from scratch and a parsley pesto sauce to go with it. I have two helpers with me today, my daughter Lydia.
Hi.
And my son Will.
Hi.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the pasta. You wanna start with 2 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. And then you're gonna make a well in the center, which is just kind of an indentation in the middle. And you're gonna add 3 eggs. You wanna pour in the eggs, Lydia? Pour them right in the center. Nice. And also pour in the olive oil. Tablespoon of olive oil. We're gonna take our fork and we're just gonna start mixing up the eggs very gently. And once they're mixed up, you're just gonna go around and just pull the flour right in there. So making pasta from scratch might seem intimidating, but it's not that hard. It's real simple. It only has a few ingredients, and it's just about the finesse. So you keep pushing the flour into the egg mixture until you come up with kind of a ragged dough. So you want to keep adding that to where it's no more liquid, becomes a solid, and then you're going to pull it all out into a ball. We're going to add some flour here. Excuse me, Lydia. And we're going to start kneading it. And once I get it into a better shape, I'm going to let you guys knead it.
Okay, so what kind of shape do you need to knead it?
Well, we're just going to knead it into a ball, but for now I'm just kind of folding it over, right? And it's picking up more flour. So kneading is actually just kind of folding and pushing. You're developing the gluten in the flour, which is what gives it its shape.
And you can make as many portions as you want. You can like double the recipe if you'd like.
Right, you can double the recipe and roll it out and freeze it on a flat pan. So then once it's frozen, you can put it into your Ziploc bag and you can have frozen pasta in your freezer that you made yourself and just put it right in boiling water and cook it right away. It's a great tip, Lydia. The key to the kneading of the pasta is that when you know it's done, you want it to be smooth. It's almost there.
Once you start doing this for a while, you'll get as good as her.
Right. Right, that's most of the magic in being a chef, is that you've done it maybe 1,000 times. That's what makes you good. Okay, so once you know that it's done, this is a good test, is to stick your finger right in the middle, and if you get bounced back, it means your dough's ready. So we'll cover and rest our dough, clean up the table, and make our pesto. Be right back. Now we're gonna make our pesto sauce, which is a pretty easy thing to do as long as you have a food processor. So first we want to put in the ingredients that are kind of harder. So we have 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese. Dump it in there. We have 1/2 cup of pumpkin seeds. And a lot of people use pine nuts in their pesto. And I love pine nuts, don't get me wrong. But for one thing, a lot of people are allergic to pine nuts. For another thing, they're really expensive. So pumpkin seeds, I don't think the taste is any different at all. And it's less expensive, and no one's allergic to it. Okay, so we have our nuts and our cheese in the bowl. And this is 1/2 of a clove of garlic. We're gonna put it right in there, and then we're gonna process this just until it's chopped up finely. Go ahead. Okay, good. Okay, now we're gonna add in our greens, our parsley.
All right. How much is this, Molly?
This is one bunch of parsley, but it's been washed and we've picked most of the stems off. So a lot of people use basil for their pesto and just basil. But this is another good cooking tip, especially with pesto. You can make it with any sort of green. You can make it with arugula. Today we're using spinach and parsley. What are some other herbs you guys can think of that you can make pesto with?
Rosemary?
Yeah, you can make a rosemary pesto, maybe a rosemary and walnut pesto. What about other greens? What other greens are really good for you?
Kale?
Kale pesto is super hip these days. Put on sandwiches and stuff. Okay, so we've got our spinach, 4 cups of spinach, 1 bunch of parsley, 1/2 cup of pumpkin seeds, 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese. And we're gonna squeeze our lemons in there. And lemons are awesome. I love cooking with lemons. They're really good for you. And they bring a nice tart flavor, but they have very bitter seeds. So I have this nice little handy strainer. You squeeze your lemon in there. Squeeze it hard. Both hands, 2 hands. Nice job. So another tip, when you're done squeezing your lemon, is to get it squeezed on this side and then just rub the edge of the lemon right in there. And you get a lot more juice than you would from just squeezing it. I'll squeeze the other one in real quick. And Lydia, can you grab some salt and pepper? Okay, and we're gonna add about a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and about a teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna turn it back on. We're gonna grind it up pretty good. And then we're gonna drizzle in our olive oil. Sometimes if things are getting stuck in your food processor, you can go ahead and put the olive oil in there to get things going. So turn it back on, and Will, why don't you pour in the olive oil slowly. Perfect. And that's just the consistency that I like my pesto to be. A little crunchy. I'm gonna taste it. That's another chef tip that a lot of people don't think about. You gotta taste your food. You gotta taste it and taste it and taste it, because it might be terrible. And then you go to serve your dinner party and all your friends are like, wow, this is terrible. So we're gonna scoop our pesto into our bowl here. You get the spatula. You gonna help me, Will? Nice. Let's get this top part. Look at that, it's beautiful.
It's a nice color too.
Yeah, anytime you see that color, you know it's probably pretty good for you, pretty healthy, right? And so we have our pesto. We're gonna clear off the table so we can roll out and cook our pasta and toss it with our pesto sauce. We'll be right back. We've made our pesto. It's time to roll out the pasta and cook it. So we're gonna put some flour down. Press our pasta down a little bit, and we're gonna try to roll it out as thin as we can get it. So I'm gonna need your help.
Why do you need it so thin?
Well, you could make it thick, but it'd be harder to eat. Pasta's supposed to be thin, so why don't you give it a little try there? Use a little elbow grease in there. And we have our water boiling here. A good tip for the pasta water is to salt. You want to heavily salt your pasta water. You want it to taste like the ocean. Why would you want to do that?
So you don't have to salt the pasta?
Right, it seasons your pasta. Makes it cook better, and then you don't have to put as much seasoning in the dish.
Is that good?
Yeah, why don't you give Lydia a turn?
Okay.
So I know pasta is your favorite dish to eat. Is it your favorite dish to cook?
I remember cooking it maybe once or twice, but I like cooking it too. It's fun.
You like cooking it. What's your favorite dish to cook, Lydia?
Either pancakes or risotto.
Risotto, which is kind of like pasta. It's in the same genre.
It's sort of
Italian
like rice
food.
too.
All right, let me finish this off here. You give it some elbow grease. Where's your elbow grease come from?
Your elbows?
Comes from right here, your core. That's what my trainer tells me anyway. Elbow grease. Do you guys like pasta? Are you like pesto or red sauce better?
I like pesto.
I probably like red sauce the best.
I think you could probably take a bath in red sauce.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. What else do we make with our red sauce besides pasta
Pizza.
sauce? Pizza. I try to make pizza every Friday night, right? And you guys like my pizza better than store-bought pizza, right? So once you have it nice and rolled out, it helps to cut it into these long strips. And then you can pile it up and cut it all at once. And you want to cut it pretty thin with a kind of a rocking motion with your knife.
That looks pretty scary.
Well, the key to not cutting yourself is keeping your fingers tucked in here. And you want your thumb back there. You don't want your thumb out here. Thumb behind the fingers, and you want your fingers tucked in, your fingertips tucked in. And then that fingertip, the side of your finger, you can just rest it right on your knife. And then there's no way of cutting your fingertips.
Unless you were to do something.
Yeah. Unless somebody came in and hit your hand. But that's very unlikely. So you want to make sure it's all not sticking together.
These are sticking together, so.
You pull them apart.
Whoa. That's a lot.
You can do it. Pull them apart like hair. That's what it reminds me of, hair. What does it remind you guys of?
I would say hair too, because
Worms.
Worms?
worms.
Worms isn't good for cooking.
I know
I bet some people eat worms.
some people.
They eat
Not me.
snails and bugs.
That's gross.
I went to Montreal once to the insectarium, and we ate bugs at the
Were they good?
insectarium. No, not really. They had some that were dipped in chocolate, though.
Well, just because they were dipped in chocolate, that's probably what made them good.
Yeah, some were deep fried too. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my lid off of the water. I'm gonna add my substantial amount of kosher salt.
Whoa.
Careful. And we're just gonna drop our pasta right in there. And since it's fresh, it doesn't take too long to cook. It just takes a minute or two.
So now what are we gonna do when we finish our pasta?
Well, we're gonna put it into a bowl,
Okay.
and then we're gonna add the sauce.
Alright.
And then we get to eat it.
My personal favorite part.
This is our strainer right here. I like these handy little small strainers because they allow you to not have to use a big colander or sink. You can just pull it right out of there. But it's also a good tip to taste it, make sure it's cooked. Pretty good. That's what I love about fresh pasta is it has a nice bite to it.
Yeah, it really does. If you've never had fresh pasta before, you'll be surprised.
You
It's
can really
good.
sink your teeth into it.
That does kind of look like worms, Lydia.
Told you.
But they're not the color of worms.
I know they're not, but. But they just remind me of one.
I bet there's some yellow worms out there. Okay, we're gonna turn the water off. And add in a couple big spoonfuls of our nice, beautiful green pesto. And I doubt it needs any extra salt,
Yeah.
but I bet it needs some extra pepper. You wanna sprinkle?
Where is the...
It's right there. Sprinkle a little bit of pepper on there. A little bit more.
And I know that kids will like this because I am one.
You guys are bona fide kids that love homemade pasta and pesto. So that's it. You can make your own pasta. It's not that hard. And you can make a interesting pesto with whatever greens or herbs or nuts you want to throw in there. We're out of time for today, but I want to thank you so much for joining us here at the Ingles table. Remember, you can find this recipe, videos, photos, and more on the website at inglestable.com. Until next time, I'll see you online.
Bye.
Bye.